I'm going to invite some people really quick here. Come on. The usual peeps. Merc. Josie. Alrighty. Joy to the world. Hey, Josie. Good to see you as always. Well, your little face there in the circle. Sarah, great to see you. Okay. Make sure I'm all organized here. So this one's going to be an important one. And it's going to be a little bit longer than the ones in the past. I try to kind of get to the meditation and boom, jump off from there. So if you don't get any, if you can't watch this whole thing, hey Dana, if you can't watch this whole thing, I recommend coming back and watching it, because this one is, like I said, it's going to be important, and I want to say some things up front, and then we'll kind of go into the meditation. But I really want to talk about this morning, some things, and I want to start off with a cone. I love cones. The Buddhist cones are like these writings that you ponder. So one of the well-known cones is, don't mistake the finger pointing at the moon for the moon. I'm a finger pointing at the moon. You can't mistake me for the moon. I'm just pointing at the moon. Jesus was pointing at the moon. Buddha was pointing at the moon. Any teaching out there that has higher truth in it, whether it's written, it's verbal, whatever it is the finger pointing at the moon. Luis, hey. Just saw you. So it's important that when we read certain things and we look at something pointing to the moon, is we don't get caught up in, I'm fascinated with the finger pointing at the moon, but we got to take our attention off that eventually and go direct. So Josie, so everybody is being asked to go direct. So even though there's something pointing at the truth, you have to have a direct experience with it. And one thing that I wanted to really talk about this morning is the heart space. Your heart space is the most important thing in your entire being and in your entire body. It is the one thing that is going to go with you wherever you go from this point forward, this time period forward, whether it's here or some other place, whether it's in heaven or another reality, whatever your belief system is, you're only taking that with you. And it's really important. So I want to share with you a cone. And in other words, it's something you meditate on. And I'm going to do the short version of it. But basically, there was a master who was teaching these warriors, basically teaching like Buddhist concepts, but also like martial arts and things like this. And an enemy sect came in and killed their leader. So the first person in command, who really loved the teacher and respected the teacher, was distraught by by that teacher being murdered, and vowed to get revenge. So he chased this one particular person that killed the master for a very long time, and then finally he found this person and cornered them. And he had within that moment the ability to kill that person, but he didn't. And then that person that he was about to kill goes, how come you're not taking advantage of this moment? And he says, because I allowed hate to penetrate and poison my love. So this is extremely important, people, right now, is no matter what's going on the planet, you still have to remain in love in your heart. Do not let what's happening out there, the shadow that's fading away, put any trace of hate into your heart, because if you start doing it out of hate and anger and fear, what you're doing will not have a powerful impact, because that is all shadow stuff. And I really believe that sometimes when you hear about these conspiracy theories, and I do believe a lot of the conspiracy theories, but if you get caught up in that information, even the ones that are supposed to be debunking it or like saying, oh, we see the truth, a lot of those people are just helping people fall into fear. So you cannot You cannot operate out of hate and do any good, or anger or fear. You got to come back to love. So no matter what you see happening in the world, just like that cone that I shared, if you go to take an action, but your action has been poisoned by hate, fear, or anger, then your action is of no good. You've got to come back to the heart. And this is what I've been talking about all along, is coming back to that heart space and clearing the energy. So there is no reflective of negativity inside of you that the negative out there can attach to. So it's really important that in that heart space, that is the most important thing for you and everyone on the planet. If you do not reside in that heart space, and the negativity of what's happening, like hate, fear, and worry, if that seeps into you and it starts poisoning your actions, just like the cone that I shared and that martial arts master, is you don't take action in that space. So you want to come back to that space in the heart always. So whatever's happening out there, you clear within yourself. So that's what I've been talking. Every one of us, every person, I believe, is a love note to the planet. A love note like a musical scale note, ding, ding, ding. And a love note like we have instructions. We're here for a purpose. At this time period, man, there are so many people that are realizing, wow, I know what my life has been about. And I know what my life's been about. It's been about exactly this time period and what I've been teaching, which is just keeping your energy high no matter what negativity is out there. Yes, you see it, you look at it, and then you transform it inside yourself into love, and then you share that forward out. Because the more push pins on this planet, the more placements of light, which is all around the globe, we win over the darkness and the shadow. You cannot attack that stuff directly. It does not work. Believe me, I've been playing this game for many, many years, and if you try to attack darkness in someone's mind, they will reject it. You cannot do it. You cannot go direct. You have to go inside, change your energy, and thereby how you come at people is changed. If any kind of heart, anger, or fear gets mixed up in your heart note, in your love note, in your frequency, that gets shared out. And then that creates war. This is what we're getting off of the planet. We're going to a new space. That war space, which basically means we are right. Right? So you're not going to get into a fight. You're just simply tuning into the higher energy, which is love and light. And then that obliterates anything that is false. End of story. It has no power. Like my German friend used to say, period, dot. It's like that is it. You reside in that higher space and you let your love note, what you are here to do at this time period, be activated, and you're always acting from that. Anger, fear, and worry get mixed into it. Your actions do not have the power they could if you're in love with it. In love what's going on. So like the cone that I shared, if you'd missed the cone, I recommend going back and looking at that after I post this. And I'm going a little bit longer today because I want to explain something. If you act out of the anger as that the martial artist person was avenging his master was doing, instead of focusing on the love, then things just get worse. So in the beginning, it was his love for his master, and that was the purest thing. But then the hate came in about someone that killed his master, and that just messed his heart up. He was in the wrong frequency. So we're being asked to operate at the highest level we have for a long time. Yeah, love letter. Bible, yes. Love, I just say love note, love frequency tree, so just kind of the same thing, but we all have a frequency, a note. And your heart space is really important because that is the frequency. And think about frequency gets to be like a little, new age term, but frequency means how often something happens. How often is your heart beating with love versus how much it's beating with anger, fear, and worry? That is your frequency. End of story. So you got to put love back into it no matter what's happening out there. You shift it and turn it into love. Love is the most important force out there. And it's the only true force because it's what plugs into source. Everything else has no power. So we come back to our heart and we obliterate war, the concept of we are right, because we're not fighting something. We're just shining a light on ignorance. Ignorance is darkness. That's all it is. And enlightenment is the first step, not the last step. And what enlightenment means is in awareness of. For example, Alcoholics Anonymous. You can get up and say, my name is John and I'm an alcoholic. Well, great, that's enlightenment. But then it has to do with what do you do from there? So enlightenment is the first step. There's a huge light being shown on the planet. 2020, no lie, this is about popping people's eyes open. But you cannot let the anger, fear, and worry contribute in any way to the frequency you're putting out in the planet, because you're here with a very specific purpose. You got a love note directly from God written on your heart that you're here to deliver, and you cannot let anything interfere with that love note and putting it on this planet, because that's what's going to shift the planet. Not knocking on doors or fighting other people. Like, I got a message to share. It's interesting being able to, I see myself kind of sitting in the center and watching all these perspectives happening. Literally, I see thousands of people having thousands of different experiences. Well, let's say billions of people having 1,000 different experiences, depending on what their belief, perception, and perception is. But you got to just bring all that back to the heart. Shift it inside yourself. Like yesterday, we worked on the inner child. The children in the world are a reflection of our inner child, how we've either had our innocence taken away, robbed, or we gave it away erroneously. It's coming back to taking that energy back to our heart and clearing ourselves within ourselves, loving your inner child, healing your inner child, and then reflecting out that and sending that love and healing to the global inner child, whether it's a 90-year-old or a 2-year-old or a 3-month-old. So I think that's all I wanted to say today about being in the heart space and not letting anything poison the space. The frequency at which your heart vibrates is the most important thing, and it is what goes with you wherever you go from here, on this planet or off. So having said all that, we're going to do our normal temple clearing. So just rub your hands together, put an intent inside your heart and your mind, and just, I want to cleanse myself of any negative perception and bring myself back to love. So tapping over the temple area, literally this is the temple, the sphenoid bone, tapping over the temple, raking off of the sides of the head, clearing. This is the emotional brain, the bird brain. This is actually where our emotions are processed. So it's really important to clear that. So we got to clear the temple before we ever go inside it. Just like they talked about with the Ark of the Covenant in the desert. Which metaphorically, if you think about, here are these people in slave mentality, and they were made to wander by God in the desert for 40 years. Why would God make them wander lost when he could just take them to the promised land? Because slave mentality had to be obliterated. In 40 years, the people that were born in slavery passed away, and new people were born in freedom. So we don't necessarily have to die for that transition to happen. We go inside and do that. We look at it and we transform ourselves. And this is what we're doing here, is transforming our hearts to love, so that we're in vibration with the God's plan, the plan it. We're in upper frequency of that, which is the Garden of Eden, which we're all walking around in because it's the whole planet. So clearing that temple one more time. My mind is clear, focused, and completely open. Well, let's do it one more time. One more time. As you're tapping this time, just imagine light coming in from the top of the head. And I'm going to imagine there's a lotus flower if you want to, and that flower opens on the top of your head. Energy pours in, washes the brain. You can just imagine water pouring through, light energy, clearing the mind, down through the throat, down through the heart. Sweep off one more time. Letting that waterfall pour all the way through you, through your lower abdomen, your legs, your knees, your lower legs, feet, and out. Internally and externally washed. And now bring your attention to your heart, just tapping the center of your heart. Your love note. I guarantee you that you specifically have instructions in your heart note for what you're here to be doing at this time. You are needed. You are essential. Everyone is essential right now. When they tell us not to do anything, I'm sorry, that's working against what we're doing here. We are here for a specific purpose. Even if you're just sitting in your living room meditating and focusing on love, that is doing something. Don't do nothing, do something, and it's all internal. So tapping the center of your heart. Remember that diamond, the octahedron that goes four-sided pyramid going up, four-sided pyramid going down, and imagine that spinning in the center of your chest. And we're going to work on the inner child and the global children again today. Imagine yourself being young and innocent, and place that inside the diamond inside your heart. You can also allow any time period where you felt like you had that innocence robbed, taken, or given away. You can bring that in to be cleared in your own heart so that octave can be cleared out into the planet. As above, so below, as within, so without. As we clean inside here, we clean the world. And I want you to bring your attention to that inner child within you, loving it. If it feels ashamed, tell it it's okay. If it feels guilty, if it feels anything in a negative realm, I want you just to send positive energy to that mini child you inside the diamond inside your heart. And what you might find is the things that most upset you out in the world regarding what's happening to children is something that you might have personally experienced, not directly, but had a similar vibrational experience within yourself. And that is one of the things you're here to clear. Now imagine that is that porthole to God, to Source. And imagine that little bitty child of you being baptized in Source, in your heart. Like literally in Source, the life-giving and life-sustaining force. There's only one Source. There's only one power. There's not two powers, one power. The shadow side is just something perverse and turned upside down. It has no true power, and it robs from other people because it doesn't have a connection to Source. So fear, worry, and anger has to propagate itself in other people to stay alive. It's like a virus. It needs other people to keep it alive. And you say no to that. No. And I want you just to have that inner child feel loved, supported, and protected. And today we're going to use that sound that I forgot to bring in yesterday. It's a Qigong sound. It's also a Chinese medicine sound, and it's shh. It's this shh sound. Not shh, shut up. Shh, like you're holding a baby. Shh. Everything is going to be okay. Everything is all right. Shh. Teresa will have to disagree because evil is not a force. It is a misperception within reality. God did not create evil. God created everything. God created free will, which brings about misperception if not treated properly, and that misperception becomes something, but it is not a real force. It is not. And to have a beast out there creates something that people can focus on, but it's not real. It is absolutely shadows and mirror. It is shadows and mirror. You know what they say, that Lucifer was the right-hand angel. Not a demon, angel, okay? That angel fell in perception, became self-important. That was the fall. Not an evil force. God created that. God has power over everything. However, we do have free will. And if you turn your free will away from God and you don't plug into Source anymore, then what happens is life goes from being life-supporting and life-giving, and it gets flipped upside down. The word live, flipped backwards, is evil. That's all it's saying, is living backwards. There is no beast out there, okay? It is a shadow, and it's what people may believe in, but it's not true. And the fallen one is fallen in perception. We ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and bad. Judgment. We ate from a mental concept that kicked us out. So, focusing back on the heart energy. When you're plugged into that Source, no one has power over you because evil is not real. Evil is a shadow. Evil is a perversion of the truth. And when you buy into that evil, your heart does not send out love anymore. It's getting caught up in the fear, anger, hate, and war. There's not a war here because it has no power. We unplug it. We give the people power. 9/11. The 10 is cut out. The number 1 of impersonal empowerment has been taken out. When you try to go from 9 to 11, which is personal power, and you have to go to become a master, the 11 number, you have to take self-responsibility. And the people on the planet that do not take self-responsibility from misperception, they don't have a true force out there. They don't plug into a beast or an evil. They rob it from you. We have been manifesting that they say there's one source, love-giving and life-sustaining. We have been funding the opposite, which is life-taking and life-suppressing. Take the power away, because there's no source. We are the source. We plug into the source and the energy comes through. That's why they keep us dumbed down. Because if you knew who you truly were, that stuff would be obliterated like that. And that's what's happening on the planet. It's being shifted because there is no dark force out there. Otherwise, no one would need to take it from somebody else. If I'm empowered and strong, I make other people powered and strong. I don't need power from somebody else. When somebody needs your power, that means they're not plugged into source, because what they're plugged in is nothing. It is a shadow of truth. And they need to take your power. So just like a solar system, all these batteries connected, you've seen this concept in the Matrix, we're going to take everybody and string them together, thinking about fear and worry, and they use your energy, influenza, no coincidence, that word is practically the same, and they just tell you what to think and create. Nobody out there, a beast, has any power, because that is false. One true power, one true God, one true source, not two. If you do that, then you're polarized. You're living in duality. Once you go back to this, the other just falls apart. So go to that in your heart. One space. There is nothing but source. Everything else is just a shadow. Now, other people may believe in an evil force and worship it, but it doesn't have any power, or they wouldn't need to take yours. They wouldn't take it from somebody else. So, focusing back on the center. Yeah, there is a lot of shadow in the government, but it's a shadow, period. You are the power. That inner child in you is like being baptized in source in the center of your heart. You're spinning that diamond around. And I want you now to plug into all the other child spaces on the planet, whether it's a 110-year-old person or somebody just newborn, plugging into that inner child around the planet. Sending every child, no matter what age, love, understanding, and light. Shining the truth for them. And I imagine that as we do this, imagine some child is in a situation where they're not feeling very uplifted or feeling suppressed or downright terrified. And then all of a sudden they have this feeling like someone is standing there and they care. That is your energy that we are spreading around the planet. Everybody can plug into it. That is how you flip the polarities of the world, not by force, not fighting a thing that isn't even real. Because it's shadows, man. It's shadows. Hey, Deborah, good to see you. So I covered a lot of ground today. And if you missed it, I really recommend that you go back and watch the first part. It'll be on my Facebook channel, because it's really important where your heart space resides. So just a few more minutes, just imagine sending this love and light around the planet to the network of children, anchoring that love, that light, that understanding, the truth. Imagine if you're worried that people are being mistreated, imagine wrapping them with light. Help plug other people in when they've been scared, terrified, and worried so much that they've lost their connection. Let yourself, which I do believe what Christ did, is he was plugged into source. He's like, I'm the son of God. Well, guess what? You are a son and daughter of God, 100%. I believe that. You are a divinely designed and divinely created being, just like Jesus Christ. Christ knew it. That was the difference. Plug into that, and you, by doing that, you're a proxy, just like Jesus was giving the example, of other people getting that exact same thing that they've lost touch with, from virtue of the situation that they're in or just life circumstances. No, you plug into that and you share it forward. So plugging into that energy within you, source, namaste, that space in me, that when I'm in that space in me and you're in that space in you, we are one, because we're one body. Okay? There's only one race on this planet and one body. Many colors, shades, 2 different genders, but one body. Sending that love and light, and imagine just bling, 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 kind of christening everybody around the planet with this love and light. Even if it's just a little bit of, somebody just made a little spark today. Then come back to your own heart space, owning that space, knowing that you're a divine being and always will be, and we're only duped by misperception, and that there's no other force on this planet besides God, source, and life. It's all the same thing. And that, my friends, is how we change the planet. Not by force, not by fighting against something that is a shadow anyway, not fighting against some idol that somebody else has created. It's a false idol. There's only one source, which means there's one power. Misperception is how we got lost, and clearing and awakening and cleansing that perception is how we go back to unity. And it's happening. So, thank you, my friends, for joining, and I'm going to continue to do this until I feel like Spirit says enough is enough. So, I love you all. Thank you for showing up. Peace out, and I'll post this on my webpage if you missed the first part. Just a little cone story in the beginning. So, peace. Love you all. Namaste.